Nick, we're ready? All right. Okay, I'll call to order the regular meeting for April 25th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission statement is Learning for Life. Our vision statement is Southgate Community Schools, the best choice for students and parents. Okay, that brings us to the approval of the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. And the first item is a presentation for board policy package, first read.
Yes, you received in an email our last committee's work on some proposed language for our policy. Very specifically, we're talking about student-initiated clubs, and we are proposing to add language that requires parent permission to attend student-initiated clubs. So that is one piece that we intend to add. The second is a piece that will eliminate post-season tournament competitions from the board approval process. So we spoke about that within our policy committee, that many times we don't find out if our teams are headed to postseason play until the last minute, and it often leaves us feeling like we either have to make a decision on the fly and bypass board policy, or not be able to attend. So we'd like to go ahead and eliminate that. We don't feel that that's necessary. So those are the two policy pieces that we are asking for the board to consider as a first read. We'll come back and we'll have that linked when it comes to approval.
Any questions?
No, just saying nice.
Oh, all right. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Is there, can we have discussion on?
You can ask
Yeah,
questions.
sure.
Okay, I've got a bunch of questions, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fire away.
So on the front, can you give me some examples of some existing clubs that are already operating?
That are student-initiated clubs.
Right.
We have the Star Wars Club at DMS. We have the Christian Club at a Christian club over at the high school that's been running for several years. We also have an LGBTQ plus club that's at DMS. Those are all examples of student-initiated clubs. These are not required to have any district sponsorship. A faculty member has to be available for supervision, but is not allowed to have any participation in the club itself. So because it really lies outside of the purview of a district-sponsored in loco parentis, the responsibilities that we assume when we do as a district sponsor a club, and because these are student-initiated, we did feel like we ought to have a parent permission component to it.
So some of the other potential ones might be a nature club, or a
Yes.
chess club, or that key club.
If the kids are initiating it.
Right.
If they're extracurricular and they're academic in nature, they're usually district-sponsored, like a foreign language club. That's usually a district-sponsored one. It has an educational purpose that is for an academic extracurricular piece. So those are generally district-sponsored.
Okay. And then how would, with the activities of a staff member or teacher, they would have a supervisory role?
Yes, only to supervise to make sure that the welfare of students is protected at that time, physical
Is that a
protection.
safety kind of thing? Or-
Yes.
So no real input or guidance to what they do?
Correct, according to board policy.
Okay. And then from is there a charter or some kind of original, we want to form Club A?
No,
How
it can
do we-
be, it can just be 3 kids who decide that they want to form a club around whatever topic they want to form it around. So that's a protected constitutional First Amendment right for speech. If they'd like to do that, they can. If they'd like to have a Bible study, they can. If they choose to do that, as long as they have a faculty member who's sponsoring that. And by, excuse me, not sponsoring, but a faculty member who's
Supervising, yeah.
supervising kids during that time.
And then I think one of the other comments was that no one can, who is not a student, can regularly attend on a regular basis, right? So an
Yeah,
outside speaker or,
participation. Right, you wouldn't have, I mean, students could schedule somebody to come in if they initiated all of that and had contacts, and they decided to do that. But again, that would be student-initiated completely.
so how would we, I mean, do we define regularly attend? Because if there is any contention about any of these, the devil's gonna be in some of these
Yeah,
details.
the devils in those details are definitely going to be as we administratively regulate that policy. So the rules that we set for collecting and making available those pieces.
And then, I'm sorry, I've forgotten, on the supervisory piece, how do we measure what that is that written so that it's real clear, so that we can make a judgment about that if we're asked to?
No, it's vague, vaguely written.
On
I think
purpose.
supervision is intended to be making sure that students are, like you had mentioned, safe, that I think safety is probably the primary, and that the interactions are within the code of conduct. So safety as is defined by following code of conduct as it's written.
I don't think we want unsupervised kids roaming around the school
Yeah.
after hours anyway.
Exactly, exactly. And then I know there was a comment in here about interference.
For instance. We wouldn't be able to do that, and it would be a material disruption. We could stop them from being a part of that kind of club or even having that kind of club because it's in violation of the student code of conduct. So if something was aligned with violence, something was aligned in that respect, or if it was disrespectful to staff, for instance, you couldn't have students aligning in protest, or not, I wouldn't say protest, but I would say to disrespect a teacher or to disrespect the institution. Those would be limits on what we would allow because it would be a material interruption to the school environment.
Okay, thank you. And then one last question on the second sentence. It said, it refers to subject to such rules and regulations as may be established by the board. So is that vague, right, on purpose, so that we can change the rules as we go, as we come across?
Board policy is always something that the board can change at any time using this process. So if we decide that there are additional rules other than parent permission requirement, for instance, we're doing that today, and we're saying that that's going to be established as a board policy. And of course, code of conduct is something that we cycle through the board for approval, so it becomes a board-approved set of rules. So as we define what we allow, even as to the extent to which we collect and record keep or do anything that we need to do, that
Okay.
will be available.
Thank you. And then I have one question on transportation. There's a 200-mile number.
Yes.
Is there a reason for that? Should it be 352 or 1 or 6 or 80?
It's really just kind of a rule of thumb standard that says 200 miles is really not commutable, and so you're going to
So per the Constitution, we can't be specific on what we think that is appropriate for certain clubs, for student clubs.
we have a constitutional responsibility to free speech, and that is defined. We do not have to allow clubs that endorse violence. We do not have to allow clubs that violate the student code of conduct, those types of things. But beyond that, it is our responsibility to allow students to gather
Right,
as they wish or as they choose.
right. Okay, thank you.
I had one, so kind of sparked my thoughts here while they were talking. Is there compensation for the supervisor? They just, that's something they're volunteering their
Yes.
time to do?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, we'll go on to citizens' comments. Is there anybody here who would like to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment. And it brings us to the consent agenda, which consists of minutes from the April 11th, 2023 board workshop and regular meeting minutes, and then the HR update. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Okay.
Oh, I just want to say congratulations to Tara Randall for the new principal in Anderson.
Did we vote yet?
Oh,
Oh, that was a little
are we
early.
supposed to vote?
No, and then I'm going to introduce her.
Is that a hint?
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet.
Wait a minute. My
Any
notes
other
don't have it.
discussion? Any other discussion? All right. All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Congratulations.
You'd like to
All
say
Now I
right,
can
what
say
I would
it.
like to do at this moment is introduce
School year, so it's gonna be good. It'll be good.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amen.
We will make an announcement to the community tomorrow to introduce her.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, I didn't jump the gun. You can't don't yell at me.
He said you did.
That was you. All right, we'll move on to action item number 1, approval of the purchase of new equipment for grounds.
Yes.
Who's presenting this item?
I am going to invite Dan Bonet to come on up and talk about this piece of equipment that he believes is really essential for Southgate.
Good evening, board members. Again, my name is Dan Bonet, grounds lead for Southgate Community Schools. In order to properly maintain and renovate the baseball fields, softball fields, practice fields, from football to soccer, even the playgrounds, we need some new equipment. It is our recommendation that the Board of Education approve the purchase option 1 for the turf time equipment top dresser for $21,200 and option 2 U.S. Golf Redexum overseeder for $20,655. Both of the machines have a timeline of 4 to 6 weeks once ordered, and the total cost would be $41,855. Is there, do you guys have any questions?
Do we have any, do we currently have this equipment?
We do not.
Or we just, this is just all new?
This is new items. This The top dresser, what the top dresser does, it improves the playability and surfacing. It allows me to distribute like sand, topsoil, even infill material, infill conditioners to it evenly. So the biggest thing is to prevent injuries. And the overseeder allows us to overseed areas without disrupting the surface, because what it does is it slices like grooves in the ground, drops a seed right in the ground, and there's brushes on it that covers the grooves back over. So you can overseed and the kids can still use the field while using this equipment.
So what are we using currently?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Rakes.
How do we take care
Bags
of
of
it?
topsoil.
We don't, we haven't.
Okay. Is one of these a mower?
No, actually, a top dresser, you'll pull behind the John Deere Gator, and you put the soil in there or the sand, and it's got spinners on it. So you go over the entire infield, you top dress it, and you'll take groomer and groom it in. Like, we made our own groomer already. So it helps smooth out the playing surface to prevent like ankle rolls or bat hops on the baseball infield.
Okay.
And the other one is it hooks up to the tractor, and it's all self-driven. So there's like the old sled seaters just have like belts on them, or gears or clutches. None of that's on there. It's all self-driven. You hook it up, and the tines does all the work. So then you adjust your cedar to what seed you're putting down, whether it's ryegrass, bluegrass, fescue. So there's very low maintenance involved with both these pieces of equipment.
Does it find any holes in the ground, like
The
an
top dresser
outfield?
will fill them in.
Okay.
Because what you do is you go over the entire field, the top dresser,
Place to store this equipment? Are we thinking about that? So
we do right now. We still are working out of the Heinzen building. So we keep like our mowers over there, but I'm working with Mitch over at Anderson, and he kind of gave me a garage under the stadium during the summer months. So I'm keeping stuff specifically for the athletic field maintenance there on site, so we're not trailering back and forth.
Okay.
So is this specifically to Anderson, or do we?
Oh, we'll use it everywhere.
Okay,
No, I can I plan on top dressing like Davidson. I oversee the front of the schools.
okay.
And like, the thing about the overseed that's nice is I'm driving around, I'm seeing a lot of thin grass. If we overseed it, it's gonna build healthier turf, it's gonna cause less weed encroachment and less chemical use to control the weeds.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah, I had the same concern, just about the storage.
Yep.
And then if you're going to transport it from one spot, the high school to Davidson, how do you do that?
We would hook the top dresser up to the John Deere Gator. It's like a trailer, you pull it.
Okay.
So you put that on the trailer, and the cedar hooks up to the tractor. So you mount that, the 3-point hitch, and put that on the trailer and take it over.
Okay. So like the football field at Davidson, the field over at Garish, these are all areas we can use?
Yep.
So even if we were to get turf on our baseball fields, we could still use this?
Well, the nice thing about this too is you can apply crumb rubber with the top dresser. So if you get areas low on your turf, you need a top dresser in order to apply the crumb rubber onto the field.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
May I just say I like the way Sean Sage speaks.
I appreciate that. Buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
Mr. Freitas? On our field before we get to do anything else with it.
That's actually, it's a great question, though.
Yeah, it could be like, we could make some money off of it and help
Help pay for it.
pay for it, yeah.
And one last question. What is the long-term idea for storage? It sounds like we have a short-term solution, or,
I know Jason's looking into maybe some building, like a pole barn or something, at some point down the road, once they knock over the building.
Yes, so right now, we have at Garish shipping containers that are storing much of our equipment at this point in time. That will be there for the next year. in a year after the Beacon program moves to its new location, Asher will be moving over. The adult and the alternative ed will be moving over to Garish so that they have a larger space. And then the Asher site is going to be our next maintenance site. I know that Jason would like to see a pole barn or something built on that property. In the meantime, though, we will have the Asher building itself to use in a storage capacity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
Any other questions for these two pieces of equipment? None? All right, we'll bring the discussion back to the table and entertain a motion on action item number 1.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a top dresser from Turf Time Equipment and an overseer from U.S. Golf Carts as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, number 2, approval of the concrete replacement at Asher.
Yes, as I mentioned in that last item, the plans for Asher are going to involve our use over time, and they will involve our vehicles on that property. So the added importance of getting that approach rebuilt that was excluded from the larger cement work package we had approved and done last year, where it included Anderson and Davidson and all of our elementaries. Asher's approach was excluded because we weren't sure at that point what we were going to do with Asher. We are now a lot more comfortable with what we're doing moving forward. And as we move our equipment and we invest money in our equipment, we definitely do not want to endanger that equipment by dragging it through broken up concrete.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Dr. Pomponio.
So it says that there's a 5-year bid still in effect. What does that mean?
That means that less than 5 years ago, we secured pricing with Royal Cement. That's about to expire, so we want to make a good on that price. It is much lower than what's the market right now is for cement work. So anything we think we want to change or improve or replace in concrete, we want to do it now.
Okay. And the other question I had is, in those spots that the sidewalk, is that a safety hazard? Is it blocked off right now, or no?
I do not believe that it's blocked off, but
Okay.
I do believe that it presents a hazard, so getting to it soon would be important.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, I'll bring the discussion back to the board and entertain a motion on action item number 2.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the replacement of the concrete at Asher as presented.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Action item number 3, approval of the playground fencing for Shelter's Early Childhood Playground.
Yes, we do have an early childhood playground at Shelters Elementary. We also have an early childhood program that's there, which is a preschool special education program. And for quite a while, we've heard from advocates that they do not feel that having a playground in such an open area is safe for the children that are in that program. So they have asked quite early on to have us put a fence around that playground to make sure that students are staying within that playground area for their safety. So this is a proposal that will follow through with that request and ensure that that area is safe for that program and the students that are in that program. That we see and have had in there for quite a while. That backstop is unusable. It is, it's itself a hazard. So we are going to remove that. We do have longer range plans for making sure that we restore playground equipment out there. So where we've
From, this is funding from
This is from the
GSR?
bond as well.
Oh, from
No,
the
it's
bond,
from the
not
bond.
GSRP.
No, this is our special education classroom. It's not a GSRP. Although GSRP uses it, the concerns are from our special education department and
Okay.
advocates. So that is our general responsibility.
Okay. Any questions? Mr. Sage?
I just got one. Because I know Brady's fence was too busy, I believe, when I asked last meeting to do over by the football field. Did we get a bid from the company that's doing the football field with that other fencing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the same applies, what Jason had said last time. All of these kind of came about at the same time. So they may not have chosen to bid at that time too. Most of those projects of fencing just were all kind of,
Right.
we need all of this done at one time, and that may have been the deterrent.
Sometimes they see one and they go, yeah, I'll do that one, and then
Right.
they back out on they just pass on the others. It's hard to say. Contractors are hard to
Right.
explain. Sandra?
You mentioned backstop being removed. What is that?
On the property, far back towards the neighborhood, towards the west, is a backstop, an old softball backstop. So it's been there for a very long time, and it may have been in place when,
Way out in the field?
way out in the
Oh,
field.
okay, not by the play area?
No, not by the play area.
Okay.
No, out, way out
Okay, no.
by the neighborhood, and,
Usually the farthest corner of any property they could find, they put the
Yeah.
backstop there.
yeah, and
And then everybody played from it.
Forward.
Yep, forward.
it'll be a good elimination, removal.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring the discussion back to the table, entertain a motion on action item number 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fencing for the shelter's early childhood playground to Brady's Fencing Company for not more than $13,140.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Support of Ms. Angel. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Brings us to the adjournment. I'll entertain a motion on the adjournment.
So moved.
Mr. Lamas makes a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Is there support? Supported by Mr. Green. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Thanks, Dan. I didn't screw up. Sorry, buddy.